We bought our 2003 Honda CR-V brand new, specifically to go full-time RVing. For over 17 years now, we've been flat towing it all over North America. Several years ago, we upgraded to a Roadmaster non-binding tow bar. It's a big improvement over our old setup, and we love how easy it is to connect and disconnect our car. But the tow bar itself isn't the only piece of the puzzle when it comes to flat towing. Another part of the setup is the auxiliary braking system, which is required by law in most of North America. A towed braking system not only manages the extra weight of the car, but also brings it to a stop automatically in the unlikely event it disconnects from the RV. Over the years, we continued to have more and more trouble with our original braking system. So last year, we stopped by Roadmaster headquarters in Vancouver, Washington, to have a brand new InvisiBrake installed. There are several ways to skin the cat when it comes to towed braking. Today, we'll explain why the InvisiBrake was the right choice for us. At the end of the video, and down below in the description, we'll also remind you how you can get a free tow bar cover and a free hitch receiver lock when you buy the same Nighthawk tow bar that we use, factory direct from Roadmaster. Before we get into our braking system, if you're interested in learning more about towing in general, you won't want to miss my interview with Roadmaster Vice President David Robinson, where we went into more depth about the pros and cons of each towing method. That segment recently aired on the Discovery Channel during Season 2 of our TV show, The RVers. If you missed it on Discovery, Season 2 of The RVers premieres on iTunes on July 7th, 2020. Be sure to mark that date on your calendar, since Episode 1 is free to download that day only. It features our co-host, Kate Morton, in a great segment about RVing with pets. The towing segment appears in Episode 4, and the rest of Season 2 is packed with great content. Streaming versions of the show are commercial-free, with added bonus content, including special guest appearances by Heath and Alyssa Paget, Brian and Melissa of RV with Tito, Mark and Julie of RV Love, and even Jason Wynn's mom, Mary, who just started solo full-timing in her very first RV. So deciding how to tow a car behind a motorhome depends on several factors, including how often you tow, what type of car you own, and what your intended use is. The far ends of the spectrum when it comes to frequency of towing are very occasional weekend RVers on one end and full-timers like us on the other. Since David and I covered the topic of towing methods on the RVers, flat towing versus dolly towing, and even using a trailer, let's talk specifically about braking. When considering braking systems, some of the same factors about how and how often you tow come into play. The more you tow, the more important it is for everything to be quicker and easier to connect and disconnect. We went with that thought right from the beginning, when we had a completely built-in system installed back in 2003. But the way it worked required some modifications that, in retrospect, we'd rather have achieved another way. To keep the car's brake vacuum up without the car running required a vacuum pump. But since our old braking system didn't include one, and diesel engines don't generate vacuum, the installer had to add an auxiliary pump on the RV. That required an additional connection between the motorhome and the towed, an air line to provide vacuum, which was just one more thing to connect and disconnect, and one more thing to go wrong. All of that can be removed now. No more pump on the RV, and no more vacuum line across the tow bar. That's because the InvisiBrake includes a vacuum pump built right into it. One of the reasons we had trouble with our old system is probably because so much of it was designed to be installed under the hood, where it wasn't fully protected from the elements. The InvisiBrake goes inside the passenger cabin, either under one of the front seats or in the trunk or cargo area. We opted to use the cargo area since there was plenty of unused space there and it would keep the system totally out of the way. We could have installed the InvisiBrake ourselves, but since it's fairly involved and most people will have it done by a professional, we had the job done at Roadmaster's installation shop right there at the factory. But a handy do-it-yourselfer or a qualified shop just about anywhere can handle it. Before installing the InvisiBrake, our tech had to remove the entirety of the old braking system. The accumulator tank from the old system isn't needed anymore. Its purpose was to maintain brake vacuum in the event of a breakaway. But because the InvisiBrake has its own built-in vacuum pump, it's always with the car, providing vacuum no matter what. That means that the hoses that brought the vacuum across the tow bar and up into the car's braking system can all go away. And of course, the vacuum pump itself is no longer needed and can be removed from the RV. Removing all those components means this is the first time in over 17 years that the area under our hood is restored back to its original state. This main unit is the heart and brains of the entire system, and we'll be mounting it in the wheel well recess under our cargo floor in the back of the CRV. Obviously, it can be installed in the trunk of a sedan. Mounting under one of the front seats is another popular location, but since we didn't want to reduce the limited footroom we already have there, we opted for the rear of the car. That meant running an extended wiring harness. But the end result, the virtual invisibility of the system, was worth it. The only part that gets mounted under the seat is the actuator that pulls the brake pedal down. It's so small that it's completely out of the way of any backseat passenger's feet. Here, it's totally protected from the elements. There are lighted and audible alerts in the RV that monitor system operation, and of course, a safety switch that activates the brakes automatically in the unlikely event of a breakaway. They tested everything completely and did a fantastic job of putting everything back together more neatly than they found it, and got us back on the road. We've had our InvisiBrake for about 9 months now, and we totally forget that it's there. It's a super clean installation with 0 extra steps required to connect and disconnect. The InvisiBrake even charges the car's battery while we're towing. Even if you're not full timing, you might still want the same kind of braking setup we have, with absolutely nothing extra to do each time you tow. Nothing to take in and out of the car, nothing to turn on, set, or adjust. It's just back there doing its job, and we never have to think about it. Also, if you only use one motorhome to tow one car and don't switch either of them very often, a more permanent and hidden installation like ours might be the right choice for you too. I mentioned that a breakaway was extremely unlikely. That's because our Nighthawk is built to last right here in the USA. It's rated to handle far more weight than we're towing, and it's tested for even more weight than that. And of course, we love the extra protection and visibility that the Nighthawk's rows of LEDs provide when driving at night. If you want your own Nighthawk, Roadmaster offers a special deal exclusively for RV Geeks viewers. When you buy a Nighthawk directly from the factory, just ask for the RVGEEKS package, and you'll get a free heavy-duty tow bar cover along with a free hitch receiver lock. That's an $89 value that will protect your Nighthawk and keep it looking new. And of course, free shipping is included too. We hope you found this helpful as you look at different options for how to set up your towing system. As always, safe travels and thanks for watching.